For anyone who's going through a tough time right now in life, could be anything, I urge you, trust in God's plan. This period right now is going to build you. It's going to make you into the person that God sets out to make you become. Right now, you might think that life is just beating you up. You just feel like it's trying to take everything out of you. You're getting tested left and right, and you don't see any positives out of what you are going through. But I'm telling you, a few months from now, or a year from now, maybe even 2 years from now, you'll look back at this season and realize the good you got out of it. What God was preparing you for. For me, I've recently just became a Christian again. I was a Christian when I was a kid, but then I slowly lost my ways, going in as a teenager, early 20s, natural, kind of like what a lot of, young people are going through now. But I found my way back to Christ. And there were times in my life when I was genuinely at my lowest, and it's not anything terrible where I was like homeless or I had a disease. That's really rock bottom, but it was more so like self-confidence issues. I wasn't fitting in certain crowds. My grades were terrible and just family problems and all that stuff. And I just thought that it'd never get better. I always thought that I'd always be in the chaos, constantly anxious, stressed, but with time, the more I kept moving, the more I kept believing that I could get through this. I got through it and things did get better. And at the time I didn't know, but that was God's plan. God put me in those situations so that I could thrive, so that I can come out of it a different man. And he's currently doing that for you. As I said, if you are going through something, we don't see it. It's normal. As human beings, we don't see what God is doing for us. You know, we we just want to think of the negatives. We want to put the blame on other people. We may even just blame God for what's going on in our life, because we aren't fully letting him we're not fully letting him in. But as I said, just wait. Just wait. God is doing his magic. He's working on you and he has not forgotten about you. And this is just a reminder to you. Because think about it, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It's really hard. It's really hard. Life is not easy. Life is something that, it's an experience, but everyone goes through tough times. Everyone goes through tough times, but the people who are successful, the people who aren't successful, the only difference between those two people is that the successful person saw the dark times or the bad times as an opportunity to grow, but the unsuccessful people were the ones who let it devour them, who let it consume their lives. They're very, and those types of people, those unsuccessful people who you see who are constantly, those are the ones who are constantly angry for no reason. Those are the people who just love to blame others for their issues. And, there's probably far more examples, but what I'm trying to say is it's all perspective. It's all perspective, because right now, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm currently going through, a breakup. It's been a few months, but it hit me late, and I could have easily just been like, oh yeah, like screw her. She did this, she did that, but the thing is like, I'm thinking of it from a realistic standpoint. What is God trying to teach me in this current moment and state? Well, for one, I could have been a better partner, in certain areas. I'm not going to go deep into it, but you get what I'm trying to say. What can I look for in my next partner, and what can I improve so that I could be a better partner for my next partner? And that's what you need to be doing as well, whatever situation you're in. And I know there's probably people who are going through way more or tougher situations than I am. Maybe you have a parent who is sick. Maybe you're struggling with money. You don't know if you'll be able to pay the rent next month. But really think, because in both of those scenarios, you can think of something good. You can get something good out of everything, I'm telling you. But if you just think you you put your emotion, you try and regulate your emotions, and you really just think, for example, with not being able to pay your bills, you could find, like, you could be more vigilant with your money. Maybe you can learn a new skill. Maybe try start that side hustle so that you could, get those bills done. And what would happen after that? You get closer to your calling. You find purpose in something new that you actually like. Or with like with a sick parent, you could appreciate time with your loved ones. Really appreciate the time, because no one on this planet is going to be here forever. Nothing on this planet is going to be here forever. So you spending more time with your family, that's what you could get out of, a sick parent. And what I'm just trying to say is that God is trying to show you. God is showing you, and and we can never talk to God. God is up there. He's eternal. But God will show us subtly what is for us, and show us through the hard times that we can get through it. And I like to always, I've always noticed that in life, when things weren't aligned for me, when I always had that gut feeling, those clues that God was trying to give me about certain people, things, or situations, it always come from here. It come from your gut, and when I would always just ignore that feeling, I tell that feeling, oh no, I'm just being too hard on whoever, yada yada yada. What would then happen is like I would get disappointed down the line, whether that be with friends, partners. Yeah, yeah. I remember I I had this one friend, and he was a pretty chill guy, but you know, but over the course of time, he started to his character started to kind of slip, and I started to get that gut feeling, being like, this something you really want to tolerate? No. And over the course of time, the guy ended up betraying me. The guy ended up switching up. He just, what is it? He just started saying stuff about me, all all these things, and just started talking bad behind me about my talking behind what's it, bro? Talking behind my back. There it is. And if I had just listened to that gut feeling, maybe even just distance myself from him a bit, maybe just have him as like just a friend that we could just hang out with every now and then, but not like someone really close, because I saw him as like a close friend, then, you know, it would have been a lot better. But at the same time, those are moments where you could learn more about God's plan. You can learn more about the gut feeling, because you probably have intuition as well. Everyone has that voice, or maybe everyone doesn't, because I've heard people who said they haven't, but a lot of people do have that intuition. You should always listen to it. Over time, maybe over time, you could kind of just test that voice at the same time. If you know what I'm trying to say, you could kind of try and not listen to it, but over time it might get better. That's up to you. But for me, what I found is that when I follow that gut feeling, it always ends up being right. And this is for everything, as I said, like, even in tough times, follow that gut feeling. Always follow that gut feeling, because that is God talking to you. That is God talking to you. So basically in this video, I just wanted to like tell you guys that you should trust God's plan always, because God has a plan for every single one of us on this planet. If you're currently going through a hard time, just know that you will come out stronger. See past the pain. And I know it's hard. It's extremely hard. I've been there. I've been there. I've done that, and I'm currently doing that as we speak. But if you see the positive in what you're going through right now, you will come out a different person, and you'll look back and thank your past self. Anyways, if you enjoy the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. Peace.